right, we're here at All Native Garden Center and Plant Nursery in Fort Myers with John Sibley. Hi, John.
Hi.
John, tell us where you're from.
I'm from Connecticut originally. I came to Fort Myers in 1979.
1979. What brought you to Fort Myers from Connecticut?
The climate.
Okay. And what were you doing when you first came to Fort Myers in 1979?
Actually, I started a lawn maintenance business in the early 80s
Uh-huh.
and soon realized the folly of that endeavor. And shortly thereafter, the Florida Yards and Neighborhoods program and xeriscaping had become very popular in the mid-80s.
Uh-huh.
And of course, the most important criteria for those both are native plants. So I thought, well, that's the way to go, is to embrace this native plant industry.
Good.
And about that time, this lady, Cammie Donaldson, got a hold of me from Florida Association of Native Nurseries, and I became my best friend.
John, I think we met for the first time maybe when the Cocoloba chapter hosted a conference here in Fort Myers.
Yes.
That was the chapter of the Florida Native Plant Society.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I remember, and you were talking about no lawn, and I was like, that's the way to go. That's going to be the future. And talked you into this. We are the future. It's just taking a long time to get there, right?
And over time, as a matter of fact, the Florida Gulf Coast University was incorporated as part of the Florida University system, and their the environmental campus.
Right.
So it was a great fit for me.
Super.
And a lot of those young students have embraced this concept of using native plants and restoring the environment. So it's been encouraging to see young people getting involved.
Yeah, you know, John, I was so thrilled to start the day here. We just had a young mother with her little girl coming in to get her butterfly plants.
Yes.
And, I mean, how often do you see that?
All the time, because that's one of our main focuses is butterfly gardening and native plant habitats.
Mm-hmm. So what are the changes that you have seen in your business? I mean, how did No Lawn All Native get started, and what have been the big changes in the business over time?
Well, that's a complicated issue, but I would say, of course, folks are becoming more aware of deteriorating environment and gated communities impacting natural environments. And so restoration and water quality issues have become mainstream. And so I think that's the most important factors to consider for the change.
I understand that in Lee County, where you are, that there are ordinances that require buffering with natural areas on preserves and things like that. So maybe some of these gated communities actually do have to preserve some area or restore.
Absolutely. Any new development has what they call a impact study. They have to go identify any native plants. They have to be saved on site if possible. And for the impact to their environment, they have to mitigate that and incorporate native plants and save significant areas for natural habitat.
John, something I've always loved about you is your very warm concern for your crew. You have some really special guys that have been working with you for years. I think maybe even have lived with you. You know their families. Could you talk about the relationship you have with your workers?
Well, obviously I have great respect for them. They're hard workers, they're reliable, they're loyal, and they have a great relationship with our customers. We do a certain portion of our business as maintenance, We have several customers, commercial, residential, condominium complexes, and I get comments all the time from people, our customers, that what a great crew they are, so courteous and respectful of our wishes. They aim to please.
Didn't you help some of your guys buy a house here?
Yes,
Yeah. And how was that project coming?
they completely gutted that house. It
Uh-huh.
was a foreclosure, so it was in badly deteriorated condition. They completely gutted it and remodeled it and probably quadrupled the value.
Uh-huh. Good. That's fabulous. John, you know we've launched this Native Plant Horticulture Foundation to try and expand and strengthen the native plant industry, to transition into the future, to recruit the next John Sibleys of the world. What would you say to a young person if you could go back and start over, or if you could do things differently, or what would you say to someone who might be interested in a career in this industry?
Well, obviously, unfortunately, you have to take into this capitalistic. So you have to embrace profitability. And so that would be my first and most important suggestion, is that people, new folks, younger people that are entering into the industry, to coordinate the profitability portion and the environmental part. So in other words, selling the native plants is fine, but you have to be able to do it where you can make a profit and survive and expand your business.
So this is a great cause, but nonetheless, you need to keep an eye on the bottom line
Absolutely,
so that you can
yes.
be successful and expand the cause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for example, you go into any of those big box garden centers and they're selling a lot of
There's the busy office. We'll stop for a break here. Okay, John, you were just telling us about a great way that a landscape turned out and the effect that it had on resale value. Could you retell us that story?
well, sure.
And I'm sure there's many like that, but it's,
Yeah,
it's a great example.
these people embraced the native plant concept, and they restored their whole property, is 2-acre property in Cape Coral.
2 acres is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they incorporated crushed shell walkways and created habitats, butterfly garden and bird gardening, and
And no lawn.
exactly. And wildflower garden, wildflower meadow, and the husband died, unfortunately, and the wife was despondent and decided she just had to sell, unfortunately. And the greatest, saddest thing about the whole thing was leaving her landscape. But she had put the property on sale, for sale, and she had some potential buyers came in, drove in the driveway. The minute they saw it, they said, "This is it for us," and told Kitty that they had already looked at 20 houses in the area, and none of them had any appeal whatsoever. But the minute they saw that landscape is what sold them.
Yeah.
They were willing to pay any price. So,
So there's where the native landscaping really sold the property.
yes, exactly.
Yeah. And that's something that comes up a lot because, as you know, where we are in the native plant movement, unfortunately, we're still early in the movement, and a lot of us who are native plant enthusiasts have a habit of, planting 200 different little things that we've picked up along the way, and there's kind of no real design, rhyme, or reason or plan to the landscape. And sometimes our landscapes do look weedy or messy to other folks who don't know the plants like we do. They don't know the stories of the plants. And now we're starting to see more designed landscapes like like All Native does, and our other fan members. So hopefully the perception that native landscaping is messy or unattractive is changing. Do you see that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do native plant designs, and we're in a gated community, we specifically make the curb appeal typical so that it's complementary to the other properties in the area, the other houses.
Mm-hmm.
But we have free reign in the backyard and where we can create habitat and messy. So nature is messy, and people need to know that. And instead of running out there with bug spray and all these chemicals that impact and cancerous causing carcinogens, and kids get it. They learn these things, this concept in school. So it's nice to see that the younger generation, especially in elementary and middle school, high school, they carry that with them for the rest of their life.
That's great. So I'd like to stop here, John.